The difference between us is that I can feel pain.
Sounds like a real boogeyman. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
Not to mention the fact that you're talking to a dead guy.
There's someone else in the hotel with us. There's a crazy woman in one of the rooms.
It's got a death curse.
This isn't science. It's more like black magic.
Your specimen has been processed, and we are now ready to begin the test proper.
Hello, my Night Owl friends, and welcome to a very special edition of Pumpkinhillradio. I am your host, Travis Wormwood. I got another host, Dawson Trailer here.
Hey,
your
guys.
other host. He's not my host. Yeah. I'm hosting you, if anything.
Hey, you're my host.
Yeah. Well, welcome to Pumpkinhillradio. Every week we dig into esoteric topics, paranormal mysteries, high strangeness of the highest order, the weirdest stuff we can find, wildest stuff around, and we try to break it down into things that we can understand together.
Yeah.
We're learning this together.
All aboard the crazy train.
Yep. Yeah. And welcome to the cult. We should be saying that more. Yeah. And welcome to the cult of the Star Mother. That's the cult that you joined just by listening. You just signed an audio contract. By continuing, you have joined the cult of the Star Mother. To join further levels, go ahead and join the Patreon. Patreon.com/PumpkinhillRadio. All kinds of bonus content there. We got a big one for you today. Right off the bat, I want to say we're talking Nazi magic and a lot of stuff like that. I have a bunch of disclaimers after this, so don't worry. We're going to talk about some nut stuff later.
It's all just information.
But right off the bat, I do want to say, with that joining the cult, with the Patreon, the back half of this episode, it's going to be probably a 2-hour episode. Probably the last hour is going to be on Patreon. It's going to be free. All you have to do is sign up and join, but it'll be free. So then you can listen to the part 2 of this. It'll be even more insane than part 1. I
join the community.
Join the community. I say I saved a lot of the more nut stuff for the back half, but there's plenty of crazy stuff happening before that. Before any of that, though, we also have horror this week, and before any of that, I just want to say a few things.
Let's go.
Send us your stories to pumpkinhillradio@gmail.com. We've gotten quite a few stories lately. There's going to be probably a whole listener reply Patreon episode, probably either free or just sitting at like the $1 tier, whatever it is. Yeah. Go ahead and rate us 5 stars and tell your friends to rate us. We've gotten a lot of new ratings lately. We've gotten a lot of new listeners lately. So I want to say a special what's up to y'all. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoy the content. Send us anything you need us or want us to improve on. We truly appreciate it. This is also all on video. So if you're listening, check the YouTube and you can watch all this.
Yeah. If you're here from the clips, what up?
Yeah, there's been a few people seeing the clips online. TikTok got shut down and brought back within like 12 hours.
Yep.
You will probably be seeing Marceline, one of our cats here.
She's like another co-host.
Yeah, she loves Dawson, and she'll be probably writhing on him the whole time.
Yeah.
That's it. Thanks to our Patreon supporters. Our ghost host this week, you can become a ghost host by joining the Patreon at any paid tier. Our ghost host this week is Andrew. Who will also be soon to be our intern. We're also working on some stuff behind the scenes together.
Andrew.
Shouts out to Andrew. Thanks for joining the Patreon. There are now only 3 spots in the $1 tier on the Patreon. This tier is basically an early subscriber bonus. That's why it's
limited
$1.
Time
limited
only.
Time. That's the
get
word.
it while it's available.
It was a $5 tier. I lowered it to 1
Premium.
for the first 10 people to get in. We now have 7 Patreon members at that paid tier. When that fills up,
bro.
You'll get all the same benefits at the $5 tier. That is what it's worth. That is what it was at originally. This is just for the early access, for the ones that get here early. It's a special thank you. So join that way you can. If you're too late for that, $5 is still a great value. With that, I do want to say some additional new content in the Patreon.
Yeah.
You already get our every month. We're going to give you an alien invasion update episode. Yeah. That's 20 to 40 minutes of insanity. Kind of a news source for you, and then also you get your bonus episode just like our normal episodes, but it's hidden behind a paywall, so it's a 5th episode for y'all.
The crazy train's only getting longer.
Yes, and like Dawson said, we do feel like he said this off air. He said he feels like he has his underwear on now because we took the first 18 episodes, the lowest audio quality episodes of Pumpkinhillradio,
very raw, but
we took them off of.
If you want to see the whole process,
yes,
if you want to see something be created and develop,
then you can find those early episodes on
it's always developed. We're always getting better.
Yes,
but
it's those episodes have just it's good content still, and it's worth listening to, but it's so different from what we do now. I saw a lot of people that were listening that were new starting at some of the beginning episodes, and it just scared me a little bit. I don't want to immediately.
It's intimidating. It's like introducing someone on the first date to your whole family, basically.
Yeah, it's insane. So, and if you want to see
You
that
gotta work up to
insanity,
that.
yep, just join the Patreon at any paid tier, and you will get the first 18 episodes. That's about 20 hours of content right there for you, because some of them are an hour and a half long specials, things like that.
Yeah.
The first episode is just me ranting by myself for 40 minutes. It's good stuff.
There's a couple.
Check it out
in
there.
that first 20, there's like you do a couple solos.
Yeah, there's some good ones there.
Kind of before I was like still just a guest at that point.
Check out Dawson before he was a host.
Yeah.
And one last thing,
Little
just on
different.
checking y'all up quick. Thanks for bearing with us. There's so many new things every week, it seems. We do have pumpkinhillradio.com, the official domain. So check that out. It goes right to our link tree with all our documents. So just check that out. You can follow us on all the socials, see all the things we're doing, and find the Patreon from there. Let's do horror this week before we lose them, Doss. How we doing?
Good, man. What do you got? You got horror?
So horror this
I want to
week.
hear yours. I got stuff, but I want to hear yours.
It was the first full moon of the year.
Ooh, yeah.
As we came into
It's a
2025,
beautiful
it was
moon,
I believe it was called the wolf moon.
Yeah.
It was extra large in the sky. Me and my wife Maya did a bit some like moon spell stuff with that. She made some moon water. I just did some great
Beautiful.
lunar gazing.
Yeah.
We also just like spent some good time in the hot tub by ourselves underneath the moon, like way late at night, and it just felt like we were just in like like it was that's
magic,
steam rising up to it.
Yeah.
Was,
I went and did that the other night too.
It's beautiful, just like
Gorgeous.
the some of those Native American spirits finding their way up the smoke of their from their burning funeral pyre. I was
Spirits
searching from the spirits through the steam. I believe
ancestors rising out from you.
It felt good. It felt
Love that,
refreshing.
dude.
That was just I just love
Beautiful.
checking in with the moon. Me and her. I think we all, me and all the
good.
whole world has a special relationship with the moon, and it just feels good to check in every now and
You gotta
then.
go talk to her a little bit. Be like, hey, Moon,
Yeah,
been a while.
yeah. I watched
Nice.
some movies. I watched a movie called Night Swim on Amazon. It was just
that sounds
okay. It was pretty
terrifying.
good. Okay, here's the thing.
Let's go. Let's get into it.
It just
Let's critique
didn't. It just. Yeah. I liked it. It had these like liminal pool spaces, some of the stuff that I do like, but I'm not sure. Like it became something else by the end of the movie. It just became something that I wasn't. It was way more like creature feature, which I usually do like, but it was just I did like how like weird and just unsettling it was going in the beginning, and it kind of went this like other way with it. But whatever.
Was
it's
it
fine.
like pool room? Like
It was
there's
like-
it's like a video game. It's like
yeah,
the
it
back
kind
rooms,
of
but it's like
it kind
pools.
of touches on those spaces.
Yeah.
It's an outdoor pool, but yeah.
Oh, okay, I see. Still, that counts.
Yeah, check it out though. Probably I don't know. It's
Alright.
good. It's good enough.
Let us know what you think.
Fear Street Part 4. There was that 3-part series on
Oh,
Netflix
yeah.
going through different time periods. There's a fourth one coming out. It's
Nice.
based on the R.L. Stein stuff, but I think this one might even be rated R, so it's getting pretty dark. Anything
R.L.
for you?
Stein, shout out R.L. Stein.
Yeah, R.L.
Prolific,
Stein.
dude.
One thing on the Patreon I did read the first chapter of Say Cheese and Die.
Nice.
Let me know if you want me to read any more of that. But yeah, we could do that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I more movie stuff real quick. Nosferatu is still going on. I'm actually seeing it tonight. A little late to the party, but I think we're
Nice.
going to be the only ones in the theater now.
Let me know what you think. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. And then Wolfman is coming out in the theaters. We're going to see that on Wednesday, and it's just really cool that like these two. Wolfman came out in 1941 originally.
Yeah.
Nosferatu came out in 1922. It's cool that these like old horror movies are just.
Yeah,
I don't always
I've seen
care
the previews for it and stuff, and it looks like it's like a family out in like a cabin in the woods, and the
Yeah.
dad becomes a wolfman.
That's what it seems.
We'll
I'm
see.
excited for
We'll
that.
see. Man, it might be a twist.
Yeah, it's just
the daughter's the wolfman.
sometimes you don't want like remakes to happen, but
I'm here
someone
for it.
it's-
Those
I also,
old ones, dude.
Yeah,
Let's
that's what I
go,
mean.
dude.
The classics.
I want a
definitely
new,
down
like,
for the
Faust.
classics.
I want to see a new Faust.
Yeah, that '90s version you said was.
That's
Yeah.
I think they lost the plot with it a little bit, but
And then there is another Creature from the Black Lagoon movie being. It's in the works right now. Some famous horror director. I forgot who
Love
it was.
that.
Someone we do like here though. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. I don't know. That's pretty much it for me. Anubis got a The Shining themed collar. Anubis is my dog. So that
he's looking fly as hell.
Yeah, I got that for him. And also, we figured out that the podcast is sapping me of energy right before this episode.
Yeah. You're turning into like the elder.
My mustache, I
white
found
Eggman.
I found at least one gray hair in it, and I think it's directly related to the research. So
Yeah, it's gonna.
And this episode
the
of
crazy
the-
train will.
did we say what this is about? This episode? Did I say Nazi magic? It's about so
Yeah.
much more than that. We have
Yeah,
so much
yeah.
here. Dawson, do you have anything? On horror? I know actually you do. Okay, real quick though, I do want to say it's about Nazi stuff. We're getting in from Paperclip
Paperclip.
all the way down the line to everything after that. But we're gonna line it up real nice so everybody. It's just
Paperclip is a whole. There's a whole lot to unpack with
and
that.
we usually don't go over just straight up like true crimey gore stuff, but to lay out the stuff we're going to get into, especially in the part 2, and like just as we talk more, these episodes usually build on itself. I need to lay out this information and just let you all know how fucking real this shit is.
We're gonna ride the crazy
and
train.
The best way to show you how real it is to talk about some of the gruesome shit. I'm not gonna. I specifically did not put like any pictures on this episode. There's some bad pictures I saw doing the research this week. Some horrible pictures I saw doing this. I just figured I didn't want to.
We don't need to see.
I'm not
that
even
stuff.
going to really describe them. I don't think. But
no,
before that,
we all know what's going on in that time. We don't need to dwell on that because that's not the point of it. The point is like the research, the like things that happen.
Yeah, and we always
science that was going on.
Look at stuff from like this esoteric kind of paranormal side, and obviously there's a lot. They do a lot in those realms, so we just need to buff up on the research, and then.
We've mentioned some little things here.
Yeah, so it's time to just lay it all on the table. Before we do that, as a nice little teaser, Doss, I know that you...
Yeah. So I don't know if it's like horror. It doesn't matter. It's just my weekly update. It's always horror, but... So, I don't know if you listeners have heard of Bashar. It's this like channeled entity. This guy channels this like entity called Bashar. It's like this like ET kind of a thing. It's really out there stuff, but check it out because there's a lot of like wisdom in it. It is like really good, like it's like self-help kind of stuff, but it's like it's good stuff just to like remind you that like, you're manifesting reality, you like have control to like do these things. But I was just listening to some of his like little like talks and Q&As and stuff, and like he just like someone asked him a question and I don't even remember what it was about, but he starts referring to like Bigfoot and what Bigfoot is and how like we are
perfect. Oh, this ties into the year of 2025, the year of Bigfoot.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was relevant.
I'm
hyped on it because if you've listened to like us kind of
Bigfoot related,
or like if you listen to like what we were talking about Bigfoot and like our theories on it, he kind of like just like very matter of factly is like Bigfoot is like what humans were like evolved into on Earth before like the genetic. Like the ETs like genetically like altered us into like what we are now. Mm-hmm. And that's why we're kind of like disconnected from like nature in that way. Cause that's just like, there's like a reason for it. It's not like a bad thing, but it's like, we're disconnected from nature to like learn these different like lessons as like spiritual like vessels, whatever. Believe it or not, that's like what I've been getting into, but it refers to like Bigfoot as like the original, like it was like us before we are what we are now.
Before we got like transmuted. To
yeah.
this, like,
and they're like, so what Bigfoot is like, they're so like vibrationally like in tune with nature that they can like go in and out of these like nature portals. Basically they can like, that's why they're like so elusive, because they can just straight up like disappear into nature because they're like so in tune with it. They can just vibrate right into it itself.
Yeah, that sounds like what we were talking
it's
about.
Like it was like so close to what we were talking about, and like I don't know, that's like a theory we're already like building on it, and it's just cool because like Bashar has made some like claims that have like come out to be true. There's like weird like predictions and stuff. He doesn't like tell you exactly what's gonna happen, but it's like he's like, just wait. Like he's kind of like predicted like when like December came around, there's gonna be like some events, and these events of like the UFOs and all that are like to like raise our consciousness and like warm up our consciousness to the idea and like normalize it so they can actually like physically like we can actually even perceive them because they're out there right now,
which is what we talked about on our most recent alien invasion news episode.
Like eventually we're gonna see these like starships like we see like planes in the sky, and it won't even be weird.
Yeah,
like 100 200 years ago, if they saw planes in the sky, they'd be freaking out. They'd be like, what is going on? But like it's like warming up to that idea so we can get there. And like I don't know, I just thought it was interesting is like his what he was talking about, like Bigfoot. I'm like, okay. I texted you immediately. I was like, yo, whoa.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Dan,
we could have done a whole episode on it, but like it was just like a little.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, you got a good for the people watching on YouTube. Dawson just got an excellent God ray coming.
So yeah, that's if that's not a synchronicity,
pure white right now.
I don't know what it is. I'm glowing, dude.
Like a plasmic soul right now.
Yeah, dude, we're out here.
Let's just. Do you want me to close the window? Or you want to?
No, I'm.
Pass through?
That's a synchronicity, dude. I'm feeling it.
Oh yeah, dude. Okay, we'll definitely do like a whole episode on more of that kind of stuff. Because
I just wanted a little update on my thoughts on that. That was like a big thing that happened to me this week.
Yeah, nice.
Other
work.
than that,
nice
homework.
Not much. Nice homework. Taking care.
I was enjoying the full moon as well.
Mm-hmm.
Had like a nice morning with the moon. I love a good sunrise moon. Cause my new apartment, I can see like the mountains and like it's just like sitting right above the mountains with like the like glowing red, like orange mountain tops.
Beautiful.
Gorgeous. I love that.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Well, do you want to go right from that
Good
beauty
week.
to just horror
Let's
and chaos?
well, yeah, that was like a good like little bright spot. Let's go into the darkness now.
Yeah, so welcome to this like it's going to be at least this episode cut into 2 parts. You're going to get the other half on Patreon.
There's a
we
lot.
might even do a 3rd episode on some other stuff that comes out, I don't know, next week. We're going to be looking at Operation Paperclip. We'll eventually touch on Bluebeam. We're going to touch on all these other
building into it.
all these other operations and projects that are these up to even Dark Fleet at some point in here.
MK Ultra.
And even a few other secretive government programs, some secret space programs. We are headed deep into Nazi territory, and though we do not usually cover, straight up gore, today we are going to have to, just because the Nazis are evil bastards, and among all their other horrible shit they
Real
did,
fuckers,
they
man.
also were magically inclined and artifact hunters, and we've been talking a lot about that recently. So it's coming up in the research a lot lately, and it's time to just cover as much as we can. Obviously, I'm not going to get into too much detail on anything too grotesque, but I will be calling out some key players and some of the shit just because we got to get through it. I promise by the end of the series, you will be begging for the next Bigfoot episode in the 2025 year Bigfoot.
Yeah. It'll be the good palate cleanser. But, I mean, this is all, like, this is just interesting stuff, man. This is, like, just history, you know? This is just what, like, the history is, and it's, like, not stuff that's talked about a lot. I mean, like, Paperclip, like, a lot of it, you probably know what Paperclip is, but, like, what are the implications of it?
Yeah, we're gonna dig in.
What does it mean?
As deep
you know
as we
what I mean?
can without, I don't want my whole mustache to turn white. Just
And
in one
it's
episode,
like it's also like it's like the first step into the deeper stuff we wanted to get into. Because that's like we were like gonna start all the way in, and it's like all right, we gotta like
take one
we
foot
gotta
out of the deep
start
end
at
here,
the beginning, like we like always try to is like go what it's like
when every word in
the
a
impetus
sentence
of
is
this.
like a different project or group or like thing. It's like you need to learn. Yeah, we need to just read like
even just
books
for our
1, 2,
own
and
like
3.
minds. It's like let's just start the.
We're all
Let's
gonna
just
be
start
learning
at step 1
together. Yeah.
Let's take this journey on the crazy train.
Yeah. So and again, we're gonna be looking at this from the like high strangeness perspective as much as possible.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be just biting a lot of hooks just to see what we can find, to see what we get, see what pulls us out, I guess. We also be covering the confirmed MK Ultra stuff.
Yeah.
That happened during the Cold War. That was like the breaking of minds, fragmenting minds, and creating entire personalities and identities within those fractured minds. Just as one part of it, the classic activation word type people.
Sleeper cell shit.
Other stuff like mind wiping,
Which
POW testing.
You don't think that's still going on?
Yeah, mind erasing helmets. And a lot of these, that is the first thing I'll say, is a lot of these operations are given end dates, which I just think is very silly.
They just changed.
Yeah. So I have found some stuff that's like going on that's newer, but obviously all these operations that have an end date, you can bet I bet everything that they're still going on. And here's also, before we even get into like all this stuff, all this information has to be gathered from somewhere. It's mostly gathered from journalists that not even just this research, but just like in general the whole topic. This was all classified information at one point that had to then be sent. You had to give the Freedom of Information Act, the FIFO, what is it called?
FIFO.
FOIA, that's what they call it. Yeah, the Freedom of Information Act. That's how they that's how you like request these documents, and like that's how you get this stuff. But just one example, there was a journalist in I believe the 80s that I was hearing about that they requested some of this information and we got it, but they only got a few pages of it basically because the government had charged. A lot of it was redacted, but not even that. The government, as just like a subtle way to like keep people away from it, they charged her hundreds of $1,000s in like Xeroxing fees, basically printing fees for these documents. So like you get this bill and it's like, okay, I can't. Yeah, then you can't dig any further. That's your whole life is trying to combat this thing, right? And nowadays, like that was in the 80s, so she was fucked. Nowadays, there's actually, you can look them up. I don't have any specific ones, but there are Kickstarters. There's like different GoFundMes, but not Kickstarter. There's like GoFundMes for this exact thing, where it's like basically whistleblowers that have been charged by our government hundreds of thousands of dollars.
It's like it's freedom of information, but
it's not free. It costs money. Yeah,
we're gonna need a little bit of coin.
That was like one of the first things I stumbled upon. I'm like, oh my god, I didn't even think of that. It's like it's also like this. That also gets into like black budgets.
And you're like on a list. You're getting like monitored.
Yeah,
You're already like a person of interest. You know what I mean?
It's just like the Pentagon, like charging infinite amounts of money for different things. It's like the fucking nails that cost like $1,000 to make.
Yeah.
These things that are just
$10,000 for picture frame.
Yeah, that's how.
What?
So.
Huh?
So that's why the budgets don't make any sense either. But we're not even really getting into that.
It's not even what
we're gonna start with Project Paperclip, though.
Let's go.
If we're all ready for that, that's basically that's what that was the USA taking in Nazis to get their science and also to keep them away from the Soviet Union. Right? It was kind of a two-pronged approach. Extremely,
which like made it like somewhat necessary. Whether that was like
that's like the moral like insanity.
If that's like
of
the
it.
like framing they want to have on it, where it's like to like justify it, but it's like because they like literally took people off the docks to like Nuremberg.
Yes, well,
like
they
the
were
trial. They're
fighting,
hey.
It was like the Soviet Union or America taking him. It was or like Japan. There were some other places that were like maybe working with it, but it's like these.
But since like it was like the U.S. and Russia and like is it like the UK? I guess I don't know who else was in like World War II, but it was like. Basically, it was like the main ones were the allies, you know, like U.S. and Russia working. Like we won World War II, I guess, you know, what we say. So I like to say, you know, the Nazis didn't lose World War II. Germany did. You know what I mean?
Well, we'll get into it, but it's
a different thing because we just absorbed it basically.
They all went down to places in South America,
Argentina.
Right?
There's like a whole town where they speak German. They have like Oktoberfest.
They have like
blonde hair, blue eyes.
Pictures of people on the wall, and it's like war heroes, and it's like
what?
Those are actually people who committed
Wait,
atrocities.
What war? Which war was that? Whoops.
So Wernher von Braun, he was a German American aerospace engineer who played
he's like the most famous one.
Developing rocket technology. This is the guy who becomes the head of NASA. He was get the cat in here. He first off, when I looked up pictures of him, I'm not even gonna put it up. I don't want to give it the space for that. But when I looked up his picture, he just looks evil as fuck. Wernher von Braun, right? He's the
one thing too that like because they like try to like say that they weren't Nazis, but they have like this thing where they would do like dueling with swords. Like sword dueling. Like
I was reading
fencing
about
basically.
the dueling scars.
They do it with the dueling scars, and they would like put like horsehair in it, so it would like emphasize them because it was like a badge of like honor.
Yeah.
So like, there's these like scientists that popped up in all these like programs, and they have these scars, and it's like, no, they weren't Nazis, and it was like, well,
it's like, no, that's what it is. They have.
There's like no one else doing that in science.
In
so
like Billy and Mandy, there's like the next door neighbor scar. He like
know
has
who that
that
is.
scar, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what that is.
Yeah, they're dueling scars though, right? They're these people that just have open wounds in their face. They make them look crazy because it just makes you look insane, and it gives you this like basically this horrific badge of honor in this like Nazi type of way.
Yeah.
But then then you're
like
looking at
strength
people,
and honor and stuff like that.
Then you're looking at the people that got out of Germany, and it's like, that guy's good. It's like, well, I don't know. Do you see the fucking?
Because there's this thing too. Is like we got the best. We got the good Nazis, and it was like what they mean by that. We're like that. They were like the best, the greatest Nazis.
They were,
which is a different thing than like good. You know.
Yeah, they were just.
They were like the like top guys. You know, they were like the big you know, the big man.
Yeah.
They were his like boys. You know,
they were up
top
close
boys,
right?
His circle, you know what I mean? Like,
so that's like where we run. That's where people say like Nazis run NASA, is because this guy who was a horrible Nazi,
which, I mean,
became the
NASA. It's, you know,
we'll get into that one later.
Start putting things together where like NASA, Nazi,
just the wordplay on it at least.
Maybe I'm just putting things, you know, drawing conclusions. But
hey, Wernher, he ran a Berlin rocket factory, and they would hang the 5 slowest Jews.
Yep.
On the line is one thing I read there. Yeah, he's
bad
the
head,
guys. He was the head of NASA as they were starting it out.
Real knuckleheads.
He became a paperclip scientist. They were these were the people that were like he was working on like vaccine stuff back in like Nazi times though, so that means like injecting it with like
they're doing.
Say what you will about like vaccines today, whatever. We're not going to get into that, but like vaccine is sort of a broad term for like anything that they're just putting in the
inoculations.
It's not good. Yeah, human experiments, this biological experimentation,
brutal stuff. We don't even need to get into all of
that. But it was all these
like,
people that were tried and convicted at the Nuremberg trials. These mass murderers that were stolen away by the U.S. to work. Right, they were taken out of prison. They were freed to become basically scientists.
They were like saved like. anyone on like the Nuremberg trials that had like any like value of like scientific research aspects, or like they were like on the verge of like breakthroughs, they got kind of just pardoned basically.
Yeah.
You know, like,
here's some like exact documents here.
Here we go.
Let's see if I can pull some stuff up.
Dude, yeah, that's that font. That's that official shit.
If I can. Okay, here we go. So.
Oh, yeah.
This was from November 8th, 1979. This is from the government. This is one of those Xerox forms that probably costs like $5,000, $10,000 to get, right?
It's like somehow it's the worst quality, too.
Federal Bureau of Investigation, Washington, D.C., 20535. That's just the area code. Doesn't matter. Dear Judge Webster, I have conducted an inquiry into the Operation Paperclip, a program under which certain Nazi scientists and their dependents right after World War II entered this country. This and related inquiries were addressed to your agency, among others, in the U.S. government. Your agency forwarded substantial documentation to me, which has been mostly helpful in my inquiries. Scrutinizing the assembled documents from various agencies, I have discovered that the mention was made in a number of document supplies by various federal agencies of an Operation Dragonfly. Dragonfly allegedly involved your agency. Please, therefore, what does that say? Some of these are scribbled out too. Something on Operation Dragonfly. It is my understanding that Dragonfly involved the bringing of various individuals from Eastern Europe countries to the U.S. bypassing traditional customs, immigration, and related requirements. Yeah. Then it goes on to show a bunch of specific documents from these people that were thrown around, like brought here, right? Just like interesting to read that in writing. I found a lot of these different documents, right?
Yeah.
That's just something to look at. Maybe I'll put that in the research notes at the bottom of the page just to see these documents. Okay, but like, how do you even start framing that? Like this. I guess like let's look at somebody else. Let's just look at somebody else. We don't get right down on one person. That's just so. There's the head of NASA for you, though. We're looking at Doc Fisher. He's a German physician, right? He was one of these guys brought over. We have General Walter Schreiber. He's the surgeon. Okay, here's a big one. General Walter Schreiber was the Surgeon General in the Nazi Army.
Ooh.
Okay, not a good dude. He did experiments at like Auschwitz, Ravensbrück, everywhere.
What is it like? I think Bayer, the like aspirin company. They like
comes back. It comes from that.
Yeah, they were like we need. They were like talking with the Nazis. I don't know if they were like directly run by Nazis or anything, but they were like, we need some of your prisoners to do experiments on. Yeah, it's mostly women, and yikes. It was like they got like like hundreds of them. I forget the exact number, but it was like hundreds of these like subjects basically, and then it was so quick. They're like, yeah, we're gonna need more.
Yeah, we're gonna because what they were doing, they were injecting people with mescaline and various chemicals. They were I mean,
freezing.
It's horrible.
They were like just
people.
doing like
they were like measuring. They were measuring. He specifically was measuring the effects of gangrene on bones, and the only way to look at that is to kill somebody to check on the bones afterwards, right? Yeah. He also Walter Schreiber, the Surgeon General. They said he specialized in slow deaths, which is just fucked up. Here's his like story though. He was captured by Soviets, right? Okay. He began teaching in Berlin. As like a biology professor or something like that. He escapes and then gives himself up to the Americans. This is where he is taken to Operation Paperclip and becomes a scientist for the U.S. doing the work over in Europe, right? He develops Operation Bluebird, right? They coined that because it's making people sing like a bird is what it is. This is where it's like truth serum stuff.
Yeah, okay.
So the CIA copies this formula and the formula for some of these truth serums that they're working on, and begins creating these black sites all over the world. They create these. The CIA has black sites in Japan, North Korea, all these places around the world, and that is like why we still have these black sites today. Why nothing is checked anymore. This is kind of the creation of it right here. That's when I mention black sites. That's what I mean. Is
they get into those like international water thing. Yeah, they go places that like they're not under like the same laws and jurisdiction, so they can kind of do whatever they want.
The first thing he did was capture North Korean soldiers and use stimulants and chemicals, including sodium, amytal, benzodrine, picotoxin, and caramine. And then they subjected the prisoners to hypnosis. This is where we started bringing like hypnosis stuff, electroshock, and heat. Right,
torturing.
Yeah, alternating between deep sleep and high alert to try to get a truth out of them. They're trying to develop this thing. Right, this is the early stages of trying to figure out like brain chemistry. He.
Like how to
Walter
like
Shriver,
extract memory basically from people.
Shriver then comes to the U.S. I think he does for a short time, and then a reporter outs him, and then he flees to Argentina.
Yeah,
right.
Classic.
That's currently the Nazi capital of the world. Basically, I believe he still has grandchildren that are alive there. That's what I read. People in Argentina have pictures of grandpa or war heroes on the wall, and they're literally the guy who who's convicted of war crimes.
Yeah,
just fucking nuts. So he's one of the head guys too. That's the second one for you.
Well, all the people that came over through like Paperclip, like they just weren't convicted of war crimes. But they were exonerated.
Of them. But then it's like, okay, you were exonerated of war crimes. To be put at that level of conviction at all is super tough. That's like, okay, wait. What?
We know you did this, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's insane.
Because we need you. We're gonna go to space or whatever.
The USA acquired Blum. I have his full name here somewhere. He's one of the main dudes as well. Acquired him from the Nuremberg trials. He was still definitely a Nazi. He was loud and proud about it too. Yep. He held a staff doctor at a position at Camp King. The staff doctor position at Camp King was left open when Shriver ran to Argentina.
Okay.
Right. Blum accepts the job given to him by the CIA, leaving he had a small town doctor job. Yeah. Right. He was just hiding. He was just so watch out for that too. I mean, it's not really anymore because everybody's like 100 years old.
Yeah, most of them are dead. But
just think it's not too long ago. Your like small town doctor might have just been like an insane mass murderer hiding.
No, they were like hiding in like small towns. Yeah. They were like hiding in plain sight.
Blum accepts this job and leaves the town where he was hiding in. He goes to Villa Schuster in Germany. It's like a German horror house. This is basically like. It's like the imagery that I was hearing people say was like basically at the top floor you have like people dressed nice smoking cigars at over a fireplace, and like below them is just like chambers of torture and like chambers of this stuff to try to like
brutal like black magic experience.
Yeah, so that's what it is, and it's not torture for torture's sake. I mean, it is for torture's sake, but it's also it definitely is.
They're like studying it,
they're studying it to try to create truth serum to try to hypnotize people, to fracture minds and try to create new. Right, they're already doing that before.
Like trying to like unlock the secrets of like just the human organism.
Yes. Specifically, Blum says that he is so excited to return to biological research when he goes there. Yeah. That's when Project Bluebird picks back up with him. The CIA was looking for information on. So with the truth serum stuff, the CIA wanted to know about the accurate information, like how accurate was the information obtained from the drugs. Does it guarantee amnesia, like forgetting it afterwards? Like, can you alter a personality? How long does the alteration last? Right? How long does it take? Like, how long does this take to like do to somebody? Right?
Yeah. I'm sure they're like looking into like how can you create like what you want?
Yeah,
something that like you can like
that
sleeper cell like
that along with the black sites are basically the core concepts that are taken into every future secret project the government has and still does. Oh yeah, right here I had dueling scars written down.
Yeah.
This is where we start to hear ideas about like radio waves changing people's like minds and stuff.
It's also around this time
you get fluoride in the water at this time. Whatever
fluoride
that means.
in the water. They change like the standard like frequency for like radio and
obviously
music.
Roswell happens right in this time. That's where it's also like this transmission of information. Where does it go to? Because the Nazis are searching for artifacts and things. It's like
they changed like because the musical standard frequency was like based on 442. They switch it to 440, and if you've ever like seen how like the frequency of these like different hertz like with like it's like you put like a subwoofer with like sand or like water.
Yeah, it's
442 is like these like beautiful like flower of life patterns. These like sacred geometry patterns.
Yeah, check that out.
And then you go to like 440 YouTube. And it's like this chaotic like, and it's like there's something to that as far as like you get people in this like chaotic like vibration, and you can just kind of control masses in a certain way. You can like that's when you can come in and like manipulate, brainwash, like. because people are in this like weird like off balance like frequency that's like this like just not.
So that's when they're starting to like look at that. Yeah, they literally change it to like whatever whatever the frequency is now.
Along with like these like scientists and stuff too, there's a whole sector of like propaganda scientists. Because that was one thing Nazis were really good was with their propaganda.
That's what
and that gets into it like Roswell too, because I'm not good with the names. I'm bad at remembering the names. But there's one guy and he was like the propaganda, like the head like propagandist basically, and he like comes over and he's like talking to like the U.S. like propaganda officials and stuff. Yeah, I'm like, oh, you're not like using like UFOs as like a way to like keep people in like a state of fear, and then using that to like scare like the population yet. And then literally like 2 years after that, Roswell happens, and then UFO madness starts kind of like taking place. You know what I mean? Like
that's what I have here though. Yeah, it becomes this arms race as definitely like a psychological arms race, but it's this like arms race of propaganda. Even it's part of it, and that's okay. And that's where that goes into the
Cold War as well.
And that's where I want to look at like this from a paranormal high strangeness perspective, is because I it's about 50-50 when I look at this stuff and read about it. But it's like obviously there's a thought here where you put this information in documents that are quote unquote secret. There's an insane amount of espionage at this time in the world. Every single country has every other country like a spy in their main thing. Everybody's getting the information from everywhere else. So like as an American, if you're in the Soviet Union, doing like someone over there, you create these documents that say, okay, now we have like time travel and like mind manipulation, and then somebody from the espionage group of the other team brings that back to their team, and they're like, they have this, we got to start working on this. So there is some level of that where they build off this mistrust and this
because like around that time the Soviets were like claiming they're like making these like advances in like space travel.
At the same time though, I want to point out that like
who knows,
it's like at what level are they the truth, are they lies, are they hiding something else? It's like these could all be sort of false and still have real implications beyond that, or like there's other projects that are again not being leaked because they're actually held behind secure channels. But that's just to put out there is like I do see that, I do hear that. I just the what this podcast is looking at like the magical implications of things, and so we're going to say that a lot of this is either true or a version of it is true. I have some insane documents that are about like remote viewing stuff and like exact pictures people drew. Obviously, if you're just someone that doesn't believe in anything, you can say everything's fake then, and it's like, well, I can't really help you. But I do want to show everybody as much as we can about that.
We're not doing that.
But that's something to take into account. You're right, Dawson. And just propaganda in general is like,
it's very, it's psyops within psyops.
It's these fake breakthroughs getting heard and like vice versa, presented by journalists and. But also, it's like, is there a truth to that? We're gonna say yes here at Pumpkinhill Radio. So where is the truth hiding? What is that? We don't really know. I mean, we're gonna take some stabs here, though. We have something like called Project Artichoke, which develops shortly after that. That's where they're testing, again, truth serum stuff, but just sort of mind control. They're using high and low pressures. They're using concussive force, vibrations, sounds, high frequencies, and ultrasonics. I heard. I was reading.
Damn.
As well as things just like continuous suggestion and like whispering in
people's ears. And that's like when they do like they like blast you with like music 24/7.
All this. I mean,
just
some of these
drive you insane.
Some of these, I mean, concussive force. What do you think that means? Like you're just getting beaten the fuck up.
Bat to the head.
You're just getting dropped.
A blunt
from
object
like a high,
to your head.
Yeah.
Getting thrown into a brick wall.
High pressure, low pressure. That's like literally when they would put people in like microwaves, basically. Like this horrible fucking shit.
Or like you put someone in like a vacuum chamber
to see
like what's gonna happen if you're just in space.
Yeah.
You're gonna pop.
It's not good. I've seen some. Yeah. They developed moving rooms, some rooms that you would never be able to. It's those things that like I feel like you'd imagine as a kid, where it's like, what if there's a treadmill at the bottom of this room and you could never lay down? It's like they did that.
Yep.
They made something called phobia rooms.
Oh no.
I didn't.
I'm already scared. I'm already scared.
I wasn't really trying to dig too much deeper on that specifically, but the idea of that is not good. I imagine that they would suss out your phobia and make it that.
Or they would like they'd like narrow it down.
Yeah.
Like here's like the terrible things.
I mean, it's like you put somebody in a room of spiders. I think nobody's gonna like that.
Imagining it similar to like a Clockwork Orange, where you're like, you force someone to witness these things. Like you can't look away. You're like,
yeah. That's what's happening.
That's what's happening.
They also
and like they had
developed-
all this like real footage too, because they're like Nazis. Like
Yeah,
we've all
they're
seen these,
keeping track of all
these
of it.
videos. Like they like documented all that shit.
And I have it later, but
Just nasty.
with all this documentation that the CIA took, then it was so some people are like, well, all the information's out there, and it's like there are examples of the CIA withholding stuff. So there's and even like there's withholding behind wholding and fake documents that can be given out instead. But regardless, they also had things like soundproof rooms where people said that you could even like hear your blood pumping through your veins. Like it's like maddening. Like
you hear like your organs, in your, like body running,
not just your stomach rumbling. I'm talking
like you're hearing like your heart pumping, blood going in your veins. Like
one thing the CIA did,
your eyes moving. Yeah. Hearing your eyes move in your head,
dude. Okay, there's a place called that's so bad.
Your like joints like creaking and moving. Oh man.
They also there's a place called Fort Detrick. It's something actually called the Fort Detrick Cancer Bubble, which is just like the amount of experiments that they did there is still affecting the locals today. Like there's just like if you look at the population around that, there's just like a way heightened risk of cancer for whatever the fuck they were doing. They did say
radioactive shit or
they were erasing minds, and the people could like. They were erasing minds, right, at this point, but they couldn't always bring people back. That was the problem. They were cooking these people. They were just baking vegetables, right? One thing that they did say, I read, I was finding in these documents, is that it said literally, under no circumstance will we perform lobotomies unless the circumstances present themselves.
Oh. Under no circumstance, unless the circumstance presents itself. All right.
It's really good.
That's wording. A really good way to word that, huh? It's like so you were.
Yeah.
So you're just doing lobotomies then. Just whenever you wanted.
Yeah.
Like what?
So that's just some of the things they were doing. We're gonna take a short break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk a lot more about some of the people, some of the operations, and just dig even deeper before we eventually jump onto the Patreon and finish out the last half in glorious fashion. You're gonna want to hear all that. We'll be right back. This is Pumpkinhill Radio. I'm Travis. That's Dawson. See you in a second.
One moment.
All right, and we're back. Pumpkinhill Radio.
Back, baby.
Talking some horrible Nazi stuff, but it's with a purpose of talking about magical stuff too.
Yeah.
I did just real quick. I did watch a movie called oh God, it was written by oh no, I don't know anything about this movie. But it was about some people. It was a comedy dramedy that came out recently. I think it was called A Real Pain by Jesse Eisenberg. Right. It's called a Real Pain, and it was just him and like a cousin in the movie, like going to see a concentration camp actually. Ooh. So just for like some grounding, I actually did see like actual footage of a concentration camp like just last night, and it's really intense.
It's real nasty business, man.
Yeah. So like that, just putting that out there for the folks. Like I did try to like ground myself in that too. I understand that there's an insane amount of loss.
We're not taking anything away from that.
Yeah. Boy, y'all are gonna really like the next Bigfoot episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's just jump right back into it. Among other things at these facilities, they were also, and we've all heard of this. It's almost like it's kind of even goofy sounding, but they would dose each other because at this point they were also working with things like LSD, mescaline, and things like that.
Yeah.
So they were dosing each other in their candy. There's a famous story about getting dosed in some mashed potatoes. They would just do that. They would at first they were asking each other. Well, here, I'll just tell you about it a little bit. I believe Dr. Gottlieb is his name, at Rochester University, was given the go-ahead to test by the CIA to test heroin on students. They would sign up for it, and they would get the test on it for, again, like truth serum stuff, like this kind of stuff. It was during the Cold War. They wanted to know anything that the other side knew, and the only way to do this was apparently to procure this kind of a like wonder drug, right? It seemed to be ineffective. They would just sort of be on heroin.
Yeah, turned out they're just really high.
Yeah. Well,
that was a good
test.
Then
he began testing mescaline, which is derived from peyote, right? He would test that. And the Nazis were already doing this too, right? Like 10 years prior, right? Even at that point, before everything got shut down, because like we took care of them, I guess. We didn't, like, World War II ended, though.
Yeah.
They, the Nazis, they had said that they didn't reach the limits of what mescaline could possibly do, right? So Dr. Gottlieb then gets a hold of the LSD, and that's when we start to see, he begins first giving it to participants who sign up for it, right? And then also some people that agree, but say that they could be surprise dosed.
Yeah.
Which is just not good.
Well, they were also doing, it was Operation Midnight Climax.
Yes.
Where they were doing it on, like, unsuspecting people.
Well, that's
at,
the
like,
next,
brothels.
Then he he starts doing just random citizens for with no permission. Like,
there's a lot of, like, implications with that too, because a lot of these people, because they were like, you get people at, like, a brothel, they can't, like, go tell their family about it.
No.
They have this insane experience.
Yeah.
A lot of these people, though, like a high percentage of them, went on to, like, do, like, murder suicides on them and their family.
Yeah, so they say, huh?
They'd, like, snap like that, and it's like, were they, like, being, like, trained to do that? Were they being, like, told to do things like this? Was it, like, is it just a side effect they didn't see? Like, these people just lose their mind and, like, freak the fuck out? Like, they lose all grip on reality. Yeah, they're psychotic break.
Breaking people. Or, like, that's one, or they're being taken care of because of reasons. CIA likes
well, if you, like, if you get people in a state of, like super extreme, like, plasticity, I guess, you can, like, form someone's, like, mind to do what you want. You can, like, what's the fucking word I'm looking for? Like, you can, like, I don't know, introduce thoughts into their head and, like, entice them into doing certain things for your gain, basically, or to, like, take care of themselves, so you don't have to go, like, murder them, like, suicided them, so they just do it themselves.
Yeah, you just let them
essentially
know. Yeah, which is all, or, like,
just getting dosed on LSD in, like, a situation where you're already, like, doing something shady.
If you don't know
what that's what it is,
you're going insane,
you might lose your mind.
And at that time, it's not like they had LSD. Like, it's not like there was, like, a culture behind it where it's like, oh yeah, acid makes you trip. Like, it's not. I mean, they had other things that make you trip, but it's like,
you
if you just had no idea, you would
lost your mind.
You would just lose it. You would just, like,
you don't really come back from that.
That would be insane.
That would be terrifying.
Like, and time goes so differently when you're tripping too. So, like, you're just like, I'm here forever now.
Yeah, this is what it is now. I'm completely gone.
Yeah, so that's what I mean.
I'm already dead.
Yeah, then you fucking kill yourself. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're like, what?
And then you, like, come back from it, and you're like, well, this isn't real anymore.
Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah,
that's really.
Who knows what was going through?
So that was, like, happening to people, unsuspecting citizens all over America, right?
Terrifying too.
That was Dr. Gottlieb. God, I hope I got that name right. Then there's just real quick on a guy named Alan.
Oh shit, it's all right.
You good?
Yeah,
get that. Chill. He's working. He's hitting the lightings behind us.
I'm spazzing. This is getting me all freaked out.
Yeah, try to get some movement, some blood back in the veins. Right? It's like can't even
shake this stuff off.
We have Alan Dulles. He was working with the CIA. And then his brother becomes Secretary of State. So that is actually when. That specifically is when Dulles has the ability to then open the black sites all over the world. Like, kind of like something too early, but that's like where the permissions came from.
Because I don't know if it was Dulles. There's a guy that was with the CIA that was, like, a handler for, like, Charles Manson.
I don't know exactly who that was.
He was, like, supplying them with stuff, and, like, he would be like, there's, like, someone that would, like, come out, they would, like, get them out of jail.
Yeah,
they'd go to his, like, sheriff's office and be like,
was saying that too.
You gotta let him out.
I didn't do any research on that side of things. If you want to come back with that, we can. I don't know much.
It's kind of in the MK Ultra vein. We can just come back when we get more into that. But
and that specific, that I know that gets a lot more true crimey too, right? So it's like we don't generally try to trend like that. So we'll see how if we can find some, like, I know, and he was doing some ritual stuff too. So maybe there's some like magical, like, things going on there. But yeah, we'll see how it all.
It all is in, like, a sense. It's all like you're doing, like,
I'm sure
spells and giving people these potions of, like,
I'm
elixirs.
Sure by episode 400 we'll have covered it two or three times, right?
It's just the psyop of it all too. You know what I mean? Like, just taking these, like, minds and just breaking them into these points to, like,
this is
create these, like, cults basically.
The American government was doing.
Was
breaking these
is
minds,
what, like,
doing these things. Yeah.
people that are supposed to be governing.
And every government. I mean, every like government large enough to have.
I think
this
Russia
kind of
wasn't doing
infrastructure.
similar things.
Yeah,
like,
they were. I have all that a little later. It's called psychotronics. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Oh, what a word!
Yeah,
What a word!
yeah, the Soviet Union.
Oh
That's
my
what I will
God.
say is too. Like the Soviet Union was doing all this at the same time, and it's called psychotronics. I have some great documents on that a little later. You can hear that in the Patreon. But like this is then we now have the ability with these black sites to open offices within offices. These rooms behind executive clearance. These things that are these sites that you just
Doors
you walk by
behind
every day.
doors.
Yes, doors
Locks
behind doors.
behind locks. You know?
All around the world up until present day. The CIA at this point now has total freedom, right? They are totally outside of the law because they have enough of the state's law to be on their side, right? Albert Hawk is brought in and starts working on unwitting U.S. citizens. Okay,
Jeez, man.
he's brought into the.
And like,
artichoke.
okay, here's the thing too: is none of these people were like held accountable for this, right?
A lot of them, no. A lot of them.
It just like kind of stopped, got
like
classified.
Nowadays they are either dead or they have had like a lot of them have like full interviews, like full books or like biographies written by like journalists trying to find the truth to like then get them behind bars again. A lot of them have been
because these are like crimes against humanity.
Yeah, I believe some of them
like
have,
doing these experiments on people that are not like consenting to it.
But a lot of these people, they're just free to roam the country. Some of them are nameless, especially
or they
in,
get
the
promoted.
U.S. government. Yeah, well, yeah, it becomes people that
they rise up the ranks doing this shit, and it's like, wait, guys, why are we doing this?
It's insane.
This isn't
That's
freedom. This isn't justice.
That's
this
the
isn't
fucking
right.
dark. That's the darkest part of like
They're
the
doing this.
American,
This like
that they have this
secret
freedom.
dark black magic on the populations that like aren't consenting to it. People just trying to live their lives.
And I think like at some point, they probably weren't doing it just to like. There's a way where you look at, just like when we're talking about the arms race of stuff, it's like you look at the other country doing it, it's like, well, we have to do it now. Well, we have to do it now to keep up.
Like, well, they're doing
So
it.
it's
We
like,
need to get that info.
even if like that
data.
and it's like that just doesn't make it okay. That just like, and especially if like it's being lied about on one side or not, it's like it just leads to this thing that like they're all doing the most horrible shit to try to like get one
It's
over
just
on
like-
each other.
It's the classic, like, you can't really fight fire with fire because it just creates a bigger fire. So they're like fighting like evil with more evil, creating like
it's insane.
darkest,
It's
worst
like void
evil.
with void. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's literally like
So
It's-
Albert Hawk begins injecting people with mescaline. One subject was Mr. Brawler. Over a month, he was injected 6 times, and they gave him. Then after that, he was injected with a 14 times larger dose than the usual. And this was of LSD, actually, not the mescaline previously. He began flailing in fear for 6 minutes, and then his body stiffened for 2 hours. And then he died after that. So he was like in that state of catatonic,
that like death pose.
Yeah, he was in the death pose. He was in. I mean, I'm sure the kind of magical things. I'm sure like the stuff that he was summoning up, at least in his own mind.
Oh
was
yeah, dude.
the worst.
Well,
That's
it's
just-
like sending it's like sending someone to space, to the depths of the ocean.
Yeah, it's
Just
that's what they were testing.
unknowingly
They were
too.
testing
They're
the
like,
high
all right,
blood
we're gonna
pressure.
throw like
Yeah.
It's like when they like shot like dogs and like monkeys into space.
Yeah. What's that
It's
dog's
like-
name? That's
Dude,
went to
shouts
space.
out.
Dude, shouts out. I think your name is. Oh, there's a whole episode of
We did
Space
that.
Dandy about it. I love that dog.
We also we mentioned it in an episode before.
Yeah, we have.
But anyway. Sidetrack.
So, yeah, this is that's just like some horrible shit that he did. And then one other thing he did that I saw was, so this is basically, he gave somebody LSD before giving them a lobotomy and told them to describe what was happening.
God.
Uh,
Just imagine getting
I just wrote
a
holy
hole.
fuck.
Yeah. Just imagine getting a hole drilled in your head when you're on acid.
Now
Yikes,
begins,
dude.
Artichoke-
That alone is opening up.
yeah.
It's like you're like putting people in this like mental state,
It is
this like
absolutely-
psychedelic mental state,
Yeah.
and then you do like this like torture on them, which is like opening it up even further.
Talk about like a psychic tattoo, like a psychic trauma
Bro.
over like a place, like
dude.
Some
and
of these,
just as like humanity, like what we're doing to like the human species, like psyche at that point is like
it's crazy.
that's
This
dark.
is right
man.
after this is about 40 to 50 years after the spiritualist movement of the early or of the late or early 1900s.
Yeah.
That kind of became this now.
Which that they were doing a lot of mescaline then too. Aleister Crowley, probably
yeah,
Austin Sparrow's
yeah,
doing that
yeah.
too.
This is where Operation Artichoke evolves into MK Ultra, And that is where we will pick up on the Patreon side. That is going to be free for listeners. You just got to tune in. You can click the link below, pumpkinhillradio.com, to find the links to get right there. Patreon.com/pumpkinhillradio also does it. It'll be free for everybody. I promise you, I have more than half of my documents here. We're going to talk about MK Ultra.
Nice.
Talk about some of the ways that they actually did it. Right?
Yeah.
We're not just going to be like vague about stuff. We're going to talk about how they actually did this stuff. We're going to talk about stuff like hemisync, meditations like that. We're going to talk about the remote viewing show. I'll get some pictures up on the screen of actual pictures that they drew based on and like descriptions of what the thing is and how close it was. Even at the end of it, we're going to get into things like parallel universes and traveling through the universe at faster than light speeds based on some of this all this stuff that'll fall down. We'll also get into the Nazi artifacts and things like that. All this crazy stuff. You are going to need to tune in, but
check it out on the page, baby.
The only way to get to this point now is to have listened to all this episode. You know, we couldn't have started with all this crazy shit. But with that being said, join us on the Patreon.
Crazy trains going over the Patreon.
And tell them, let's close it out here on this side of things. Go ahead and rate us 5 stars. Thank you for listening, everybody that's new. We really appreciate you listening. Thanks for giving us a chance. Tell your friends if you think they might like it. And even if you don't think they'll like it, tell them, because who knows? They might be freaks just like you.
You never know.
Send us your stories, pumpkinhillradio@gmail.com. Support the Patreon, like I said. Look at our Etsy. We have tons of cool new stickers coming up pretty soon here, pumpkinhillradio.etsy.com. Use code SECRET for 25% off of orders of $25 or more. Also, check out our partner, Dubby. Code StarMother for how much percent off?
10% off.
10% off. Dubby.gg.
Shouts out Dubby. Let's go.
Shouts out Dubby. Let's go. With that being said, okay. I hope you guys are watching because Dawson's putting up some nice.
I'm throwing up. Yeah. Talk about magic, dude. Yeah. Let's go.
Thanks for listening.
Need something.
I'm gonna try a new sign off here, Doss.
Right. Love you guys.
So this is Diamondback, Nickel Wire, laying the wax and spinning the sound.
What the hell?
See you on the Patreon.